Look what you did, you little jerk!
What's going on, jerk faces? We're here on a mission from God to give you this review of The Blues Brothers. And we have, of course, Andy and myself, and a special guest, my dad, who specifically requested this movie to review, The Blues Brothers, which I am super excited to talk about. Doing a lot of the digging into the movie. There's a lot of fun facts, and I know my dad has his notes, and I got my notes, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Blues Brothers has always been one of my favorite movies, particularly, and especially like a musical. And I've said it for years, but Blues Brothers is the only proper or the only suitable male musical.
That is true.
And we'll get into why I think that is, but yeah. Did you want me to hit everybody with the synopsis?
Oh yeah. Well, why don't we? Welcome back to my dad, who hasn't been on in a little while.
Right.
Special prison release to be on TV.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, keeping in line with the theme.
Yeah.
You have your unused and soil prophylactic.
Robert tells people I'm a metalworking. He means I'm making license plates in prison. I don't remember requesting it, but I don't remember who that guy is either. So I may have.
You don't remember me either. It's okay.
Right?
Yeah, and you were the one I was pointing at.
Yeah, what was the last? What did we do last time? I don't remember the. Was that the French Connection review that we did last time?
French Connection, maybe, and
and Bullet, I believe.
Yeah, I think that was the last time we had you on.
Yeah, if movies don't have cars, I don't watch them, so it'd be like, and they do have cars in this movie.
They have cars, and they have music that you like, I think.
Like Andrew said, it's a musical. But it was fun to watch it again so that I could be prepared for this. Although I left all my notes at work on the computer because I rushed out yesterday and forgot to print them before I did. So, you're just going to get uncensored Mr. Papp.
Oh, boy.
And I made sure I looked extra special nice just for Andrew, because I know how much it means to him for me to appear as a professional.
And I appreciate that, Bruce. True.
Like I was saying, it's unfortunate we don't have our Ray-Bans or our suits or a half a pack of smokes, but I do have my Cubs hat, so I think it's somewhat appropriate for the movie.
It's a start.
While they're not Ray-Bans, I do have dark framed glasses, so
that is true. So okay, we're halfway there.
We're halfway.
Yeah, and what? I'm calling in from 1060 West Addison.
Yeah. Well, why don't you hit us up with the synopsis, Andy?
All right, for sure. After his release from prison, Jake reunites with his brother Elwood, collectively known as the Blues Brothers. Jake's first task is to save the orphanage the brothers grew up in from closing by raising $5,000 to pay back taxes. The two are convinced they can earn the money by getting their old band back together. However, after playing several gigs and making a few enemies, including the police, the brothers face daunting odds to deliver the money on time.
Okay. So, what is it? The movie was directed by John Landis, who also makes a small appearance in the film as well.
Yeah.
He
plays one of the cops.
Yeah, he plays one of the cops.
Oh, he's the cop that his watch is always broken.
Yeah, that's right.
And they broke my watch.
It was written by Dan Aykroyd and John Landis, and so Dan Aykroyd, when he was writing this, obviously this was the the Blues Brothers were an SNL act that came up with him and Belushi together. And I forget how they were approached to to make the film.
Mhm.
But anyways, he had never written a screenplay before, so he wrote this massive 380 page tome that it literally just detailed exactly how the movie was going to go, but it also had all the background stories on all of the characters that make an appearance in the film and what's happened in their life, all this stuff. So it's almost like a mini novel that he wrote as a screenplay.
Right.
That John and essentially when they're like, we can't use this. This is not this is not a screenplay. So they started filming, and while they were filming, John Landis was making Dan Aykroyd's writing into a workable screenplay, which took about 2 weeks.
Mhm.
The movie, because they just started filming it, and when so they were working on trying to kind of figure out a budget for the film, and eventually it's like, well, we'll give you $12 million to make the movie. It's like, and the director and the production company are like, I think we've spent that already. And we ended up being about it was 27 something to make the 27 some million dollars to make the movie.
Right.
And just
Well,
for
according to the internet, and I'm pretty sure this is oh yeah, this is Wikipedia. It's like 27.5 million.
jeez. And for context though, a movie that also came out at the same year, which is Empire Strikes Back, that cost 18 million.
What? Wait, so you're
Yeah,
saying Blues Brothers cost more money to make than Star Wars?
they spent
Or at
$10
least,
million more to make this movie than Star Wars Empire Strikes Back.
The
wow.
Coke budget was huge in this movie.
The Coke
I
budget,
don't-
yeah, that's right, the Coke budget.
I'm sure that's where that extra $10 million was spent.
Right. That and like something like a constant like a nanny for John Belushi.
Well, that's Carrie Fisher was someone that was hired to I mean, she was in the movie, but she was tasked to kind of keep Belushi under control. Aykroyd was constantly trying to find him. It's just and they would end up having to stop filming because well, where the hell did Belushi go? And I mean, there was at one point in time he broke into some random person's house and started making a sandwich and fell asleep on the guy's couch. I mean, it's just what? It's just crazy stuff. But Belushi was kind of it wasn't that he was a bad guy. He just had a lot of demons and stuff like that.
He was a
He
wild
wasn't.
card. He was a wild card.
Yeah, he wasn't out to hurt anyone. He just had a hard time staying out of his own way. What it seems like.
Yeah, that's fair.
And as Andy was saying, it's kind of like this giant male musical. But I think it has a lot of different genres. To me, it's a musical. It's honestly, it's like a Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoon, live action cartoon. It's an action movie in a lot of ways. And I almost wonder if Dan Aykroyd, when he was coming up with the story for this movie, if he had watched the original, the Muppet movie, because this kind of has a similar, kind of premise to the movie, where it's trying to get all these their old band members back together and kind of save. And here they're trying to save an orphanage, but in I think the Muppet movie, they're trying to save something from being closed down or something like that.
Right. And even some of the band members, they oddly look like Muppets, or how you would I forget what the band was called on the Muppet Show, but yeah, a lot of the bandmates, they actually look like Muppet characters
That's
from that
interesting.
band.
And Frank Oz was a Muppet.
That's right. Frank Oz. Yeah,
right.
he played the guard, handing back John Belushi's character's effects back to him.
That what, that makes total sense now. I forgot that I knew he was in the movie, but I had forgotten that he was a big part of the company for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that I think my idea or my theory holds a lot of weight. What are I mean, this movie, like I was looking at the like the whole cast of this movie. Obviously, the big stars are Aykroyd and Belushi that play Eldwood and Jake Blues. They're the Blues Brothers. I don't know if they're brothers by blood or just by friendship from being in that orphanage. It's never really stated.
Right. Yeah.
But then we have like this is just like I only wrote down like a part of like the casting on this, and a lot of these characters they might only be in the movie for like 5 minutes, 30 seconds, but they're all here. Like Carrie Fisher, she's the crazy mystery woman that Jake ran out on.
Yeah, she's the jilted lover.
Yeah. You have Cab Calloway who plays Curtis. He's like also one of the people that they know from the orphanage. Aretha Franklin, she's Guitar Murphy's wife. We have James Brown as the Reverend.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Charles was the music store owner.
Sure
John
was.
Candy, yeah, John Candy was Jake's parole officer. John Lee Hooker was the band leader in front of the diner. Steven Spielberg was the Cook County clerk.
Oh, that was him.
That was him.
Yeah, because I saw his name on the cast list, but I was like, where does he make an appearance? And it's like,
we totally missed it, like initially when we first.
Yeah, exactly.
Once I knew who he was, I was, yep, that's Steven Spielberg.
Right.
Then there was, Frank Oz, like we mentioned, Twiggy.
Right. She was the girl at the gas station.
Yeah, Mr.
That
T.
paid, that paid 2021 prices for gas back in 1980.
Yeah, Mr. T was in this movie, although uncredited.
Was?
Yeah, he's in the scene where they just before they go in the diner with John Lee Hooker. Apparently, he's one of the people that's there.
Damn, I wish I was kind of hoping he was playing one of the Nazis.
Oh, that would have been great, actually.
You're right, exactly.
They're the guitar thief in the music store. Andy will know who this is. It's Devereaux White, who was in Die Hard. He was
no way, no. Oh yeah,
he was the limo driver in Die Hard.
Yeah, Argyle, right?
Yeah, Argyle. Yeah, that's who was the guitar thief.
Wow.
Apparently, James Avery was one of the detectives as well. Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince.
Oh, really? One of the cops?
Yeah, he's one of the cops.
Oh.
And Joe Walsh was one of the prisoners at the in the end scene of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the ones that like jumped up on the table and started dancing.
The first one who jumped up, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely want to get his camera time, you know.
Yeah. So, well, hey, it's like I said, and these are all like a lot of times it was just like, hey, do you want to be in my movie? Sure, man. Like, yeah, it's just Dan Aykroyd and Belushi. They had a lot of these connections, and I think at the time Aykroyd and Fisher were dating. That's why she's in the movie. And yeah, these are just like, and Aykroyd's goal in this movie is like he wanted to highlight a lot of these great blues singers that had been kind of gone by the wayside through the disco era and whatnot. And he wanted to bring back to make blues relevant again. And to be honest, I think he accomplished his goal, because I mean the music in this movie is freaking fantastic.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more.
Yeah, like you said, it's a musical, loosely tied together with some car chases and accidents.
Yeah.
And they were coming off a high from Saturday Night Live and Animal House.
Yeah, that's right.
But this is, I I know it's billed as action comedy. I watched it and I go, musical. First, if you asked me today what genre, it's a musical or religious musical, because they get a lot of Southern Baptist in there.
Right,
Yeah.
right. The gospel
Although
with the
Catholic
gospel
Church, I guess,
choir, everything.
because they were trying to save a Catholic orphanage, so the Catholics even apparently signed on with it.
Right.
Oh wow, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I read something on the internet, so it's got to be true.
Of
Right.
course.
Um, I'm not sure if I could find it again. Carry on amongst yourselves.
How because obviously like I know you I know how I was introduced to the movie, but Dad, how did you come to like the Blues Brothers? Like when did you like first kind of like know about, did you watch it in theaters when it came out?
Yeah, they had theaters. They were moving pictures, talkies, we like to call them back then. You guys are brutal. Yeah, it was in when was it released actually? June 20th, 1980. I wasn't a huge Saturday Night Live fan.
Hmm.
I, um, I did enjoy the Blues Brother, Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, and Animal House. I think that was like I could have seen myself in that movie almost. Um, but I saw this, and it was very trendy, cool. I think it wasn't a blockbuster, like you said, with the budget and how much it made, but it has survived and endured and become a somewhat of a legend or whatever you would call it. It's a good movie. I enjoyed watching it again, but and it didn't make me go out and buy a bunch of blues albums, but the music was good. The dance numbers were good. You know, it was just enjoyable, and yeah, it was trendy at the time. I'm trying to think who was the Reverend James Brown. James, the people and the roles they were cast into. Aretha Franklin as the waitress, and so when I rewatched it for this podcast, I watched the unedited version, which has 15, 20 minutes cut back in.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I believe in the original number, one of those two scenes, either the John Lee Hooker scene outside or the cafe scene inside, was either eliminated or seriously cut back. So watching the unedited version was good because I was thinking about the editing. I go, this is a musical. Why would you cut a dance number out? Yeah, it was notable for wrecking more cars than any other movie up till actually it held the record for until Blues Brothers 2 surpassed it, I think.
Oh really? Okay,
How
because
many cars they crashed?
Really?
103 or
it was
112?
113, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
Wait, so the Blues Brothers 2000 wrecked more cars than the original Blues
One more
Brothers?
car.
One more.
One more car.
Because I would have sworn that it would have been the original Gone in 60 Seconds, which that wrecked like what, 98, I think.
Yeah,
98.
but I mean,
That's a lot of
we went
cars.
through, and I apologize. I left my notes at work, so I've got to kind of refer to my desktop over here. They went through 40 cars just for the Bluesmobile.
Damn.
Now
Wow.
they do 2, 3, 4. They try and keep a hero car for the close-ups and one for jumps and stunts. But they had some for flips, some, the jump over the drawbridge. Boom, got to get a new car after that.
Oh yeah.
Oh well, one of the no, I'll let you finish. Finish your point.
CHP cars they used. They just painted them up as Mount Prospect cars.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, apparently we had abundance of what were they? Dodge Polaras?
I believe so.
I
Yeah.
believe I think that,
Yeah. Elwood does mention that it's a Dodge.
Yeah, well, it's cop car, cop suspension, but I think they were
Yeah.
Dodge Polaras. He- 74 Mount Pro Dodge Monaco.
Dodge
Sorry.
Monaco.
Yeah.
Mm.
The
Uh,
at the one of the ending scenes when obviously they with the Illinois Nazis with that Ford, they literally did drop that car from a, but it was for so high that they had to get FAA approval of like they had to get a whole aerodynamic spec sheet to see like how it was going to fall before they could do it, because
Right.
Wow.
they were afraid that thing was going to float like outside of where it was supposed to land, and they had to do a whole like a test, kind of they had to test that before they were allowed to do that for the movie.
Yeah, because that was before a lot of computer graphics. So, hey, how do you want to do this? Well, we'll take it up in a helicopter and drop it. How else would you drop a car from 1,000 feet or 1,200 feet?
Right.
That's
Yeah,
almost,
especially for back then.
that's almost a quarter of a mile up.
Yes.
That's a big
And
drop.
the FAA was, what if it suddenly has aerodynamics? God, it's a terrible car. Maybe it'll make a good plane.
Yeah,
Um, fly into a building somewhere.
yeah. Oh man. But I
yeah,
think
like what's the glide profile on that thing?
Yeah, that was cool though that they really dropped a Pinto from that elevation.
God.
that's about all the good that a Pinto's worth, though. It's just like, oh, let's just drop it from a crane.
Yeah, and it didn't explode.
No.
Uh, the car scenes were notable. I mean, again, they really used a shuttered mall to shoot the mall scene in.
Yep. They
Mhm.
about that. Yeah, I was gonna bring that up too. Yeah, that was an abandoned mall that they dressed up to for that scene.
Yeah, Daily Center. They really filmed it in Daily Center, not some backlot at Universal. I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah, this is filmed on location in Chicago
yeah,
mostly.
yeah.
Um, Funny thing about also with that mall scene is that they brought so they restored this mall, and they actually had the original like so all those stores like the KB Toys and all that stuff. They called those companies and had them bring in their actual merchandise to make it look like it was an active mall.
Ah,
And so like the Oldsmobile like dealership,
yeah.
that was a real thing that Oldsmobile put out. Uh,
That's how the mall was back in then, huh?
yeah,
Mhm.
Okay.
and they were actually and they had stuff where it's like, okay, this is where like these things you can destroy, these things you can't. I think kind of like similar to the original Gone in 60 Seconds, where if you wreck this car, you have to buy that car. I think that happened with with Oldsmobile, and because they were gonna end up demolishing that mall anyways. So it's like, well, why don't we just have this movie set do it for these movie
Yeah,
guys?
it's like, yeah. Let's let the movie production, begin the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and what a great scene. Almost as cool as in like Animal House with what's the character's name that rides his motorcycle up the stairs?
Bruce McGill.
Yeah, Bruce McGill. What was his character's name though?
Gil McCall. What is it?
No, I think it's um, maybe it's McCall, but I forget it was I forget his character's name though. It was
Okay.
like
Uh, uh, hang on. What the hell? What the heck? Um, Bruce McGill is Daniel Simpson Day.
Yeah.
And I think we've said this before. Riding a Harley Davidson upstairs is much harder than he makes it look.
Yeah, Mayday. That was his. That was kind of his nickname in the movie.
What was it?
His nickname in the movie is Mayday.
Oh, okay. Anyhow, we digress.
That scene in the mall, you know, that's one of those like iconic movie scenes that, you know, kind of gets parodied, you know, now and then in other cinema.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was another? Uh, what was the others? Like I actually, as far as like the musical numbers go, the Cab Calloway, who he the song that he sings was like Minnie the Moocher.
Mm-hmm.
And that was obviously that was the song that really made him really famous. And you know, to stay relevant as a musician, he would always update the song, you know, based off the musical trends. So he, you know, he's has like a samba, you know, version. He has a disco version.
Oh my
You know,
god, I was just about to ask that, but like seriously, there's a disco version of Minnie the Moocher?
yeah, apparently there is. And
Oh
so
my god. I must
when he
find
was
this.
when he was asked to be on the movie, they were wanting uh he was like he just assumed that they were going to want to use his newest one. It's like I just did this new version of it. You don't want to do that? And it's like no, we want you to do the old way. You know the one that made you famous. It's like for why? It's like and so when they had him in the studio to do it, he's like he started working on it. It's like man, it's just not working. It's like sorry man, like you know I thought you know can you do it like you know better, like you know you're not it's not working. It's like oh you want it good, oh okay. And so he ended up the next one he did he knocked it out of the park.
Mm.
That's the version that we get in the version of that song that we get in the movie is just like it's great. I mean it's really entertaining.
Yeah.
um, but one of the other things that was really hard about getting those musical numbers together is usually what happens in these musicals is that you do the numbers and whatever, and the music is kind of dubbed in as they do it in a, like, they actually do it in a music studio, getting all the kind of making sure you hit the right notes, all that stuff like that. The
Right. Like
problem
the
is,
post production stuff.
yeah, the problem is, however, is that a lot of these singers they're not used to doing stuff like that. They're stage actors, so they're never doing it the same way twice.
Right, yeah.
So
They're live
like
performers, and so like, you know, how they do it live versus how they do it in the studio, completely
yeah, so
different things.
Aretha Franklin, James Brown, Ray Charles they had a real tough time you know getting that in their heads. And James Brown got to the point it's like just let me do it this way. And so that version is like that was not done in the studio. That was actually done on set. That
Hmm.
his the song that he did. I think it's the same thing with Aretha Franklin as well.
Right.
They just kind of like they're like, oh, screw it, we'll just do it the way that you're gonna do it here, and we'll figure it out. And
Right. Yeah, one of the stories that that I heard prior to us doing this, but I've always known, but like during the filming of that scene, like the diner scene of when she, you know, breaks out into her number, like she was like blowing out the eardrums out of, you know, everybody, because you know, because she thought she was like in like she, you know, she approached it like she was in the booth, and then
yeah,
yeah, but like they kept saying like no, it's like no, you have to tone it down here.
yeah, because she has one of those iconic voices that just man, she could belt a note from hundreds of yards. You'd still hear
Mm-hmm.
her. And the I also love the you know with Ray Charles. He has a good sense of humor, but because I know one of the things that they would do on SNL a lot when they would bring on Ray Charles is they'd make fun of him being blind. You know, but that was so of course they had to do like the typical blind jokes with Ray Charles. Well, the idea of like him like being able to kind of sort of see and like he was shooting a gun at,
Oh, right,
at
right, right.
like would be like um it would some would be thief, and it's
Mhm.
like I don't know. It's just funny thinking of a blind guy with a gun being able to shoot accurately. It's just
Yeah. Well, I
it's
mean,
ridiculous.
Ray Charles is pretty capable. Because he doesn't get around with like a cane or anything. I mean, sometimes he does
That
get led around. Sometimes he does get kind of leaded, uh, or led, but lead it. He does get led
well,
around sometimes, but most of the time when you see Ray Charles, he's mostly just kind of walking by himself without the use of like a cane or such.
yeah, and I wonder too if like he just kind of like the way maybe he wasn't like 100% blind, but like it was just kind of he was able to like kind of just make out, it was kind of like fuzzy for him or whatever. Because
Oh,
yeah, I
yeah. I
don't
mean, I don't know. He's not Stevie Wonder.
know. Yeah, there's some
'Cause,
people
I
that
mean,
don't.
yeah, not to go too off the track here, but there is a rumor that Stevie Wonder is not actually blind.
Wow, there's also a rumor that Elvis Presley isn't dead.
Well, I mean, no, because there's a story, there's an anecdote by Shaq when he was talking, he recounted a story of when he ran to Stevie Wonder somewhere and like without even saying anything or like, and he was like still like a bit away, so it's not as though Stevie Wonder like got a whiff of him and said, "Oh yeah, that's Shaq," but like from a good ways away, Stevie Wonder like waved at him and said, "Oh hey Shaq." Yeah. so,
Huh.
so I mean, yeah, I don't recall like the finer details, like maybe someone was like with Stevie Wonder and he like just whispered in his ears like, "Hey, Shaq's coming," or anything like that. But the way Shaq tells it, it sounds as though Stevie was by himself and he looked at Shaq and was like, "Oh hey Shaq,"
Huh.
That's hilarious.
right?
Okay.
But anyways, back to the movie.
The there was the and well, I was talking about this beforehand before we started filming, but I have to imagine that Dan Aykroyd was his character getup and like the way that he interacts in this movie, that he is a huge fan of Dragnet and Joe Friday. Just the way that his mannerisms are. I mean, he's kind of the straight man in the film, and just the everything is just like just the facts. Kind of that his approach to things.
Yeah, he was the straight guy, the fall guy of the two, for sure. Except they did make one movie together where, did they make it or did John Belushi kill himself before it was made? I'm sorry, he didn't kill himself. He overdosed on cocaine cocktail. But yeah,
Potato,
pretty
potato.
much throughout their series, Dan Aykroyd was the straight guy. John Belushi was,
Right.
what
Yeah.
an animated actor, and
Mhm.
singer. What phenomenal guy. And maybe in post production we'll go back and remove the little distraction about who's blind and who might have had killed themselves on cocaine. We
But it's
don't need
funny
to.
that you bring that up about like pairs, because for a lot of the SNL movies, that's kind of like the formula that they run with. I mean, most famously, I mean, maybe not most famously, but from what I can remember, but what is it? David Spade and Chris Farley.
Oh
David
yeah,
Spade's character is more like this. He's a straight man, and and Will
Chris Farley is just a
Chris
super
Farley is
over.
just he's the wild card,
Yeah.
and so
Well, this is technically the first SNL movie, and actually, because a lot of the other members of the band are from the SNL band,
right.
and they I know Lorne Michaels was supremely pissed that because they made this without he wasn't getting a cut of this, and because Dan Aykroyd's like, no, I came up with this character, and you don't own it, so I'm gonna make this movie based off my character. So Lorne Michaels after that, like, changed the rules on SNL where he technically owns all the characters that these guys come up with.
Right.
But
I'm sure he did.
yeah, but at this time he's like, no, I came up with the character, it's mine, and I'm gonna make a movie based off my character. So go to hell, Lorne. I kind of, like I said, the other thing I like about this movie is just how zany it is. And before we watched this movie, we had just gotten done reviewing a bunch of kind of suspense thrillers. So it was kind of nice to come to this like after watching all these super serious kind of scary films.
Yeah, like a bit of a detox.
Yeah, because this is not a movie that's like super serious, but it's good fun, and you have these two brothers who are
trying to do the Lord's work.
Yeah, they're doing the Lord's work. It's like, ma'am, this is bigger than your domestic disputes. Like, we're on a mission from God. That's the kind of the big theme of the movie is, we're on a mission from God. And it's kind of funny how they it seems like at every turn they're kind of upsetting like all the the cops, the Illinois Nazis, and
heaven forbid if you bother the Illinois Nazis.
Yeah, it's like, I fucking hate Nazis, as Jake would say. But no, I think the funniest thing, the funniest people that they piss off is was it the good old boys when they go to once they finally finish together, and they're kind of actually let me backtrack a little bit. The one of the funniest lines from the movie, which I now use quite often, is when Jake is out of prison and they're going around trying to get the band back together. It's like, I thought you were keeping tabs on the band, like where they all are. It's like, you lied to me. It's like, no, I took the liberty of bullshitting you. Bullshit. It's like
yeah, not lying, bullshit.
But anyways, they finally get the band all back together, and they're trying to find. And Jake has taken on this idea of, taking the liberty of bullshitting the band, of like as far as like how many gigs they have,
right,
which is
prospects.
0. They go to that he's like, oh, we're almost there. It's like, oh, there it is. It's like, and it's this country western bar that they
They find. And again it gets you wondering like how far have they been driving, because when they made that initial stop for Jake to make like a phone call, one of the characters said like they've been driving around for like 3 hours or something, and so they're still like within like kind of like a metropolitan area, it seemed. And so like them to go out in like the middle of the sticks, and then so it's like how much were they driving? Were they driving like 6 hours maybe, or?
Yeah.
But then when they reached the country bunker, I believe it's called, it's a country western kind of bar. And they're mostly like a rhythm and blues band. I'm wondering what songs they performed, because they do like quick like they only showed them performing 2 songs, but supposedly they've been there for like the entire night, and so it's like I'm kind of wondering what other songs that did they have in like their repertoire to be able to pull this off.
Country music only has a few chords to it, so they probably just did a lot of Bonanza theme songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's how they initially won them over.
Yeah, it's like,
so,
what
real quick aside. Well, I listen to a lot of Frank Zappa.
Yeah.
And we're in the car one day, and Frank Zappa's on the CD player, and a song comes on, and Robert pauses and looks at me and goes, "Is this the theme from Bonanza?" Zapp actually does a song, the theme from Bonanza.
That's right, he
Um,
does.
Really?
I almost forgot about that.
it was so bizarre and out of context. So yeah, you have to assume that the Blues Brothers stayed up there and played. They'd try and play something, then they'd go back to Rawhide, then they'd play something else, go back to Rawhide.
Stand by your
But
man.
there's
Stand
so
by her
much
man.
implausibility in this movie that, like, why did they drive around for 3 hours and they're still in the city limits? And how did that girl, how did they survive the apartment explosion unscathed?
Right. Or
And the phone,
being hit by a bazooka, next to a propane tank.
yeah. So
I don't
it's
know.
movie magic.
Right.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
see
in
that's
my
that's
headcanon, all they did was play the Rawhide theme. The entire
Yeah.
time they were there. In my
And that
headcanon,
could,
that's how I see it.
yeah.
and but they got two types of music: country and western.
Right?
Yeah, both
Exactly.
times, country and western. I died laughing. That scene always makes me laugh. It's like, oh, we're the good old Blues Brothers boys. It's
Boys.
like,
Yeah.
And, and unfortunately, and this might be the case of a lot of our reviews, if you haven't seen the movie, you're not going to get much out of the review because we really haven't
True.
told them how the movie progresses. And then, I mean, you gave the synopsis,
Hmm.
but we left out a lot of the key areas, how they
Yeah,
upset
that's
them.
fine. We could, we
Okay.
can't do everybody's homework for them. All right.
Okay. I'm with you. I just wanted to point
know,
that out.
we can only carry the audience so far.
Okay. If you're just tuning in, kiddies, and you haven't seen this movie that came out in 1980, you're going to not understand a lot of the review.
yeah, the whatchamacallit, so they the other thing I find funny about that scene in the country western bar is the fact that, like, the band that, like, is supposed to be playing there, why did they show up at like like
Yeah, at closing.
Well, because it was 6 hours out in the woods, remember?
oh
Right.
that's probably what it was. They got lost.
Right. Exactly.
And the chicken wire surrounding the stage should have given them a clue the kind of place they were in.
Oh, it reminds me of Roadhouse.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
exactly like that.
Roadhouse.
Oh, actually, another person I missed off the cameo list is a Paul Rubins before he played
Yeah.
Pee Wee Herman. He's because one of the band members, he had become a maitre d' at a fancy French restaurant,
Right.
and that scene was like really, just like they were gonna do whatever it took to make sure that he came along with them, and oh my god, it was a hilarious and very uncomfortable scene.
Yeah. Yeah, that scene, the exchange between that family sitting next to them was I loved it. I loved it so much. Like the father like asking to be reseated. It's like, oh, it's like what's like their smell is rather offensive. It's just like, and then Jake has a little bit of fun with them, and he goes in like this like Eastern European accent, and it's like asking about like, it's like, oh, how much for the women?
How much are the women?
Yeah.
Here's
Oh.
so based off our so I am jumping around a lot, but like the idea of, I think the most fascinating character to me is Elwood, played by Dan Aykroyd, and why he is so fascinated with toast. Like, I mean, I think he's a
Right. I mean,
toast.
yeah, he's so taken with toast that he actually carries a slice of bread with him. Apparently, if we're to
Yeah.
believe,
Yeah,
if we're to believe, the scene in Ray's music shop where there's like a toaster oven, and he's like checking it out, and then like he takes out a piece of toast and like kind of go like take it for a test drive. So,
I
and then
never,
even at the diner, like when Aretha Franklin's character is like asking like what he'll have, it's like a toast.
Yeah, dry. They never
Dry.
really do explain that.
Or also like why when Jake orders, he orders like 6 whole fried chickens and
Four fried chickens with a
yeah
Coke.
yeah. But then it's like,
Wayne,
but immediately, Guitar Murphy like knew exactly who it was.
Right.
yeah, well, that's even funny. It's like you'll never guess who what these two Hasidic they look like these Hasidic diamond looking merchant guys. It's like you have one guy that's like all he wanted was dry white toast. Oh, Elwood. It's like,
Right,
and
exactly.
the other guy wanted 4 whole fried chickens and a Coke. Jake, oh shit, the Blues Brothers. Oh
Yeah.
man, it's like how often have they ordered that? Like where you recognize it just based off their order.
Their signature order, apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Oh man, it's just really fun. Like I said, the kind of the gathering of all the characters, and that's it's kind of the Dirty Dozen. They're kind of getting everyone back together. That part of it's fun, and then the journey of, even though like the band members, they actually don't even know like why Jake are wanting to do this, because it's why they're getting the band back together. They're just like, hey, we got the band back together. We're going to be playing again, and even though like there's no real reason why they should stay with them. It's like it's all these crappy gigs that they end up getting, and yet they stick together, and the hijinks that they get into is just really hilarious.
Right. I mean, even after the country bunker gig, some of the some of the band members want to like give up, and then they're like, no, let's give the Blues Brothers one more chance. Just like what it's crazy. It's like what shit had they had gone through to engender such loyalty.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, and I'm almost curious to, like, if that giant tome that Aykroyd wrote is still exists, because that would be really interesting, like what he wrote as far as like the background on all these characters. Because I'm sure it probably has all that info in there of
Right.
like
Yeah.
what they've gone through.
Mhm. Well, I mean, at least we know why Jake went to jail initially. Because um, was it he he held up a liquor store or something to pay off the band or something.
Yeah, to pay the band. Jesus, it's like,
Yeah, which is like one of the reasons, which is one of the reasons why I think it was Curtis Cap Calloway's character that revealed that. No. It wasn't Curtis. Curtis reveals why they needed the money. But I forget. Yeah. No. Yeah. It was Elwood. He's the one that said like, hey, Jake, went to the clink because of you guys, because he held up a liquor store to get you your money, and just like, oh, okay, then yeah, we're in.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, like the hijinks that they get into, and it's like I said, there's a lot of movies that I kept thinking of like while I was watching this. It's like I said, the bringing together of the band. It's kind of like the Muppet movie. The Dirty Dozen. The You have what was the other movie I was thinking of like while I was watching this. Like I said, it is kind of like, to me, I saw like a lot of Looney Tunes in this, just based off of like some of the hijinks, or even in like when just before they're playing like the big gig at that theater, uh, the Curtis Cab Calloway's character, it's like, do you guys know Minnie the Moocher? Yeah, sure. It's like, all right then, hit it. And like they're all kind of dressed up in normal clothes, and as soon as the curtain raises up, it like they're all in like he's in his white tux and everything. It's like that's
right,
that's
like the big nice set with like the and everyone's in tuxedos and like the big band. It's like the big band kind of thing.
yeah, and it's like that's something you'd see in a Looney Tunes cartoon. It's great. I like that. Or it kind of like the idea of like them being in the building that just gets blown apart, or in the phone booth that gets blown up. They just like walk, they stand up, dust themselves off, and it's like, oh, all right, that happened.
Yeah.
Like nothing happened. What was I was trying to think. There was one other thing I mentioned. um I man, that scene was so crazy. Just like all the wreck cars. I think that because that kind of scene, like where they get the money and they're running from the police and all that. Lots of wreck cars. We were saying that one scene that Andy, where they wrecked in that intersection underneath like the elevated train. It's like the way that the pile of cars kept going up and up and up. It's like they might hit that elevated train.
Yeah, they might actually hit the track.
Yeah. There was that, and then just the ridiculousness of not only did they have the cops, they had the SWAT team, they had the National Guard, they had tanks coming after them, and
yeah, they probably even had like the like reservist units of the National Guard or the State Guard.
And of course they're all going ha, 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 ha. It's like I had forgot.
Yeah, I forgot that too.
Yeah, The Simpsons always make fun of like a lot of those scenes, like where they have like a large like group of like police or soldiers of some sort. They're always saying that. I was like, where? I know that's from somewhere, and I couldn't place it until we rewatched the Blues Brothers. Like, oh, that's where they got it. Okay, now I remember.
Right.
And I just wonder, it's like, why? It just to make it seem more obviously it's just to make it ridiculous, I guess. I don't know. Just but yeah, this is just one of those really fun movies. I know like Aykroyd really believed in getting these kind of highlighting a lot of these great blues singers. I know the production company fought him tooth and nail over it. It's like, no, you need to get like more contemporary artists and stuff like that to do it, and he refused. And there was also I don't know if this is true, just like kind of like what I had read and heard was that they actually didn't like that they had a lot of these black musicians. They wanted kind of like a more not as many, or they didn't want certain musicians in there, like and they actually had when they were trying to when they were releasing in theaters, they're like, oh, we're not going to release this in certain places because we're not sure of the element that's going to watch it. So that it initially came out in like some sort of like limited release in places, and which I actually think that the movie probably would have made a hell of a lot more money had they not done that initially, because it was kind of a hit. They spent almost 30 million, then they made 130 million, so it was a hit. But it's kind of weird thinking about it. Like, man, they were fighting over this kind of stuff. It seems so ridiculous. I mean, these are all great artists, and the movie's fun.
I think
that's what if just hearing about that kind of makes me think about their choice for ending song, which was Jailhouse Rock, by Elvis Presley.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I wonder if maybe that was like a compromise between Aykroyd and the studio.
Oh, it could have been, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was Ted Mann of Mann Theaters that didn't want that element coming to Westwood.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. That I wasn't sure who it was. Yeah. That's
And
that.
yeah, I'm looking real quick, and again, I don't have my notes handy. I'm just using this thing, the internet. But anyhow, yeah, I believe it was Ted Mann or somebody from Mann Theaters. And I made a comment earlier about Catholics accepting it. The daily newspaper of Vatican City wrote that the film is filled with positive symbolism and moral references that can be related to Catholicism. They went further, stating The Blues Brothers is a memorable film, and judging by the facts, a Catholic one.
Well, hey, at least the Catholics, were they were positive about the film.
Yeah, and what was the sister's name at the nunnery, at the orphanage? Not Megadeth.
Oh, hold on a second. What was her name? I totally forgot.
Stigmata. Mary Stigmata.
Mary Stigmata. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's a Catholic film. Go ahead and run with that. Yeah, if anything, it was Southern Baptist, because God, if you don't want to get up and dance to Chaka Khan and the choir,
That's
you
right.
probably can't dance.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Oh,
So,
no way. Not Mia Peebles is in this movie?
Yeah, like I said,
yeah, that might be.
there was a lot of people that were in this film that's like, man, it is insane. And like you said, they might only some of them are uncredited, some of them are just like they're only there for 30 seconds or like 5 minutes, but man, do they make a huge presence in the film.
And a lot of people may not know John Lee Hooker. Ray Charles, yeah, pretty recognizable. Chaka Khan, I don't think she was real big yet. Aretha Franklin, just as a waitress. Yeah, I wouldn't know Aretha Franklin if I saw her walking down the street.
I mean, I know her voice, but like you don't really, I wouldn't like recognize her per se.
So John Goodman was in this movie too. Yeah, who wasn't in this movie? Shit.
And then even the rest of the band were, Donald Dunn, was he half of, there two guys were half of Booker T and the MGs.
Yeah.
Donald Dunn and the other guys, but they may not be, as famous as the Beatles or something, especially if you were only into white people music. But yet their songs were famous and they were legendary and maybe past their prime. In fact, I think that was part of the argument with the producers. They wanted to bring in somebody like Rose Royce and make it more disco and Car Wash, the movie Car Wash.
Yeah, that actually this would have been a good one to pair with Car Wash because
that's yeah. But like you said, Dan Aykroyd wanted to keep the original blues, and he was the one who got John Belushi into that style and era of music.
Yeah.
So I think they did. I think they did well there.
I definitely accomplished their goal. And I mean, this movie is one of those. We always talk about cinematic archaeology, where there's so many references to this film. A lot of like the music and like kind of the comedy numbers and all that have been parodied in other TV shows and movies, and it's because of this one, and it's a huge hit. And to be honest, I can't imagine them trying to do for modern like disco music, modern for the time, but like disco style music, because I don't think it would have held up, to be honest.
No.
It'd be something more like Saturday Night Fever.
Actually, Saturday, that's actually not a bad film. I rewatched that recently. I was like, This actually is. I always just thought, oh, it's just this like rancid disco movie, but it's actually pretty decent.
Well, I think that movie was helped because it was the Bee Gees, and it for some reason the Bee Gees music has held up remarkably well, like to the point where people are actually doing covers of like their songs.
Yeah,
Disco was an era we lived through, and
survived.
I mean,
the music too.
you lived through, not us.
Okay.
We have our own, I think, disco that we're trying to survive.
We have our own things that we're trying to live down.
Yeah, we were driving cars from the Malaise era, so disco actually sounded good on a cassette deck in a Chrysler K car.
Yeah.
And when you went out clubbing, that was what they played in a lot of clubs. So, and we're talking about a totally different movie now, but yeah, it worked well with the music and the characters, and it's a shame we lost John Belushi.
Hmm.
Comedic genius, animated actor, and unfortunately, we lost him way too young. I mean, he'd be dead 2 years after he made this movie.
Yeah, he didn't live very long after this.
I think he died in 1982. I think I read that.
Yeah, because he did this, he did Animal House. I think he did like one other film too.
Did Animal House before this. And he did a couple. He did 1941.
That's the other movie I was thinking of. Yeah,
I enjoyed.
I enjoyed it too.
It was a box office flop.
Yeah, it didn't do well, but it's entertaining.
Yeah.
That was done by Spielberg, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And and it's funny because I remember seeing 1941, and I thought, it's good they made him play this movie so he knows it was the Japanese that bombed Pearl Harbor, not the Germans. Think back to the line from Animal House. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
That's why I remember about that line.
And the class president tried. It wasn't that. Oh, never mind. Going with it's not over till we say it's over.
Oh,
No.
man.
I wondered, that quiet little voice inside of me, which isn't quiet very often. When I saw that, I go, I wonder if they're making him do this so that he knows it was the Japanese that bombed Pearl Harbor.
That might be true.
That might pass for scrutiny.
Dan Aykroyd too. He's an interesting guy. He I think now he's kind of I don't know if he's done much acting recently, but I know his big venture is his Crystal Skull vodka that he sells.
Oh,
that was tequila.
Was it tequila? I don't know. I always forget.
Well, I mean, given that the Crystal Skull comes from South America, and
makes sense. Maybe it is tequila. But he's big
into
it.
Kind of ass, but
I've never had it, so I can't.
I mean, neither have I. That I've only heard.
Yeah, but he's really into the weird alien and weird phenomena, with aliens and ghosts and stuff like that, and he's really big.
You mean in real life?
In real life, he really believes this stuff.
Okay, because I'm looking, and I guess he was in Ghostbusters and all that stuff.
He was one of the him and Ramis were the ones that wrote that screenplay.
Okay.
And to me, we've actually.
Oh, you're right. It's vodka.
Is it okay? But he when they were writing that screenplay, a lot of help came from Aykroyd because he actually believed and knew a lot about these stories that Ghostbusters is kind of referencing, and so they of course someone died. Oh, good. Less people on the road. I hear the sirens outside.
Oh,
Yeah. We can cut that part out. But no, he actually really believes in a lot of this alien and ghost phenomena, and he is just a fascinating, crazy, weird guy. But I think he's really funny, just because he does play things so seriously, but at the same time, that's kind of makes it funny. It also kind of makes me wonder too. Had Belushi survived, had he not died, would you think he would have been in Ghostbusters, Andy? Because I think I could totally see him playing Bill Murray's part.
actually, I read he was scripted for some movie, and in the end, they went with Bill Murray. What movies did Bill Murray do?
Let's see. There
I mean, a
was
lot. But I think
Sprite.
more. Well, just really quickly, I think not Bill Murray's character, but maybe Rick Moranis' character.
Maybe. But
Give him
let's
a chance to be like straight, but then also like go nuts.
Yeah. Well, let's see. There was Stripes, Caddyshack. Trying to think of what else Murray did in like the 70s and 80s.
I'm looking. So, okay. Well, Belushi was working on a screenplay called Noble Rot when he died. So, Continental Neighbors. Well, I'm not going to find it now, apparently.
But yeah, my guess would be that
I did
he
read
would be
that
the
he
Rick
was.
Moranis character.
But yeah, no, it's just I think it would have been interesting to see, what Belushi would have done, had he not died, and obviously
Right.
like because he's connected with Aykroyd, and I think he would have gone along with like some of the stuff that Aykroyd did, similar to David Spade and Chris Farley. I mean, they were in what 2-3 movies together.
Yeah.
And I think the same would have been with Belushi too. And unfortunately, like he died. Died just way too young, and like I said, just kind of couldn't get out of his. Despite because everyone.
The role of Dr. Peter Venkum in Ghostbusters was originally written for Belushi. After his death, the role went to Bill Murray.
Oh, see, I see. That's because the reason I thought that, and that makes sense to me, because Bill Murray is kind of the crazy, over-the-top character in Ghostbusters, which is kind of like what John Belushi plays.
Yeah.
And that makes total sense. Now, after watching Ghostbusters and everything, like I can't see it without Bill Murray, but I could totally see had John Belushi been in it, I think it would have been just as good.
Yeah. All right.
Agreed.
But that's all I really have to say about the Blues Brothers. I think this movie is really great. It's fun. If you're looking for something that is just fun, it doesn't take itself seriously, and you love good music, and you like old cars getting just, completely demolished. It's this is your movie.
They weren't old cars when they made it. They were only 6 years old. They're only old now.
All those
right, not old collector's items.
Yeah. All those Dodge police cars that they had.
Yeah.
You know how much they spent on each one of them?
I read somewhere. I thought it was like $400 or $500 a piece.
Yep, $400.
Yeah, the CHP cars. Their rode hard, put away wet by the time the THP used to be when they got rid of them.
Hmm.
Now I think they have found it's better to trade them through when there's a little life left in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, I mean that probably saved the production a shit ton of money though.
Yeah.
This easily could have been a $40 million film if they had just bought all these cars brand new.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all like I said. That's all I got to say about the film. I really like this movie a lot. And
Right.
I think if you like a good car chase movie, if you like good zany comedy, if you like music, this is your movie. I think someone can find something that they like, from all wherever they're coming from, whatever they're looking for, they can find it in the Blues Brothers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Really quickly though, the reason why I also say it's also like why the Blues Brothers is. Oh no. Sorry. Lost mixed up my sentence. I like this. I like Blues Brothers also, and I think it's very appropriate for men, not just as a musical, but as just an overall message. Because this movie, like it's not about the Blues Brothers seeking their own like glory. They're literally just doing this to raise money for an orphanage.
Yeah.
They're not doing it for like their own success or to make themselves more well known. I mean that kind of happens for them at the end with like the whole like when the record exec comes and says, "Oh, I have to sign you," and things like that. But I think it's in a weird way a very it's a it's a it's a God, why can't I talk right now? It's a venerating of a very noble trait, to act of service, you know,
Right. Well, hey, the Catholics said it was a good, wholesome fun. So
right? And whatever the Catholics say, you can take to the bank.
yeah.
Dad, do you think that this movie still holds up today? Do you still enjoy it just as much as you did back in the 80s?
Well, I don't remember how much I enjoyed it back in the 80s. Watching it again the last week or this week, it was interesting. Yeah, I enjoyed the music right away, but I sat there thinking it's not really a comedy. It's not really a car movie. It's a musical. Comedy and car movie is second or third down the line. Um, yeah, Belushi is a comic, but he's the only one in the movie who's the class clown. Everyone else plays the straight man to his comedy.
Mm.
And there weren't a lot of cheap sight gags and stuff like that. The cars were,
There's
well,
nothing
Henry
memorable.
Gibson. I
Yeah.
like Henry Gibson as the American Nazi leader.
Yes.
Yeah,
Uh, he
talk about
plays
your
a
perfect castings, right?
yeah, yeah. But the comedy and the cars were really thin. It was a musical, and I enjoyed it. I liked the story. Yeah, you know, we got to go out and raise money for our orphanage, which they had an allegiance to because that's where they were raised. They called Mary Stigmata the penguin, not in
Yeah.
regards to her habit. Um, and they get the band back together, but uh, yeah, it's enjoyable. Does it? It's achieved somewhat cult status. I may not watch it for another 10, 20, 30 years. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's I guess I would agree with you somewhat. Like, it's not as good of a like I wouldn't necessarily say like the best car movie. It's not. It doesn't have like that iconic car like like in the with Bullet, the Mustang and the Charger. It doesn't the French. Well, even with the French Connection, like everyone remembers the car chase scene, but that's not you don't really think of like the Pontiac that he's using in that one, or like in American Graffiti. The cars that are used in that movie are much more memorable than the
Yeah.
Blues Brothers.
The cars should get cast right in the credits of
Right.
some of those movies.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Blues Brothers doesn't venerate the car.
Yeah, you show an old cop car now, and it's just an old cop car.
I mean, hell, even with like with Easy Rider, with Captain America's bike, that's more iconic than like the
Oh.
Blues Brothers car.
One of the most iconic Harleys ever built.
Yeah.
We should talk about that movie sometime.
Yeah. Exactly. Who talked
Let
about
me know if you ever want to do it. Oh, what? We did? It's just coming in on
Someone forgot to take their pill, Bruce.
Yeah.
Oh.
But no, I had a lot of fun watching this. Like I said, I bought the movie for like $5, so I own it now, and I like I said, there's definitely like I might not rewatch the whole movie through for a while, but there's definitely scenes that I'll go back and I'll rewatch just because they're a lot of fun.
But James Brown is a reverend.
Yeah, that's such a perfect role for him.
Yeah. And actually, when it first came on, I'm watching it. I go, "Is that Little Richard?" No.
Wow.
No.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that guy.
It was supposed to go to Little Richard, but he was touring at the time and couldn't do the role, so they got James Brown to fill in for him. So you're not wrong. It was supposed to be Little Richard.
Yeah.
So he wasn't in another role. He actually, because he would flip flop between touring, doing musical touring, doing like movies and stuff, and actually he was an actual reverend, and I think he'd gone back to doing to being a reverend, and had so he wasn't, but he wasn't available for the movie, and that's why they got James Brown instead of Little Richard, and Little Richard would have been great for that role.
Wait,
Yeah.
Little Richard was a ordained minister, or James Brown?
No, Little Richard was
Wow.
at the time. Yeah, I don't know about like towards the end of his life. I think he's dead now, right? Yeah, he died.
He passed a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, he at the time, yeah, he was still an ordained minister, and he would kind of like go in between doing touring and doing movies and stuff, and being a minister.
He probably had like one of those really bedazzled robes.
Of course he did. Of course he did. You know that he did.
Yeah.
Jesus wants you to raise your arms and or whatever.
Well,
like
that's Southern Baptist.
The performance that we got from James Brown. Yeah, that's Southern Baptist.
The musical numbers. Actually, I think they released the soundtrack because it's a musical and it's good, upbeat music.
Right, like that Wilson Pickett song. If you like good music.
Yeah.
What's my favorite song? Is that what you asked?
Yeah. What was your favorite number of the movie?
Aretha Franklin doing "Think" was good.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I really like.
And I'm not a huge Aretha Franklin fan. I don't own any of her albums. I've got some John Lee Hooker. I liked his. Ray Charles was great on the piano.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When he was demoing the piano.
Yeah, that whole number, like the Shake Your Tail Feather number. That was
Jailhouse Rock.
Yeah.
Was great. So it's the soundtrack as a whole would be nice to have.
Oh yeah.
Uh, She Caught the Katy, the Peter Gunn theme, Give Me Some Lovin', Shake a Tail Feather, Everybody Needs Some Love, the old landmark, Think, theme from Rawhide. God, how'd I leave that out? Minnie the Moocher, Sweet Home Chicago, and Jailhouse Rock. That was the album, 11 cuts.
Yeah.
Um, Probably a very good cut.
I
John Lee Hooker isn't everybody's favorite.
but he was great in this.
What's that?
I really liked his. I mean, it's like he's on screen for like 30 seconds, but it was
Yeah.
really great. I actually really liked the Cap Calloway and Minnie the Moocher. That was probably my favorite. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really
Heidi, Heidi, ho. And he gets the whole audience involved. And that was actually, it was supposed to be, set in Chicago at the Palace Ballroom. It was actually filmed at the Hollywood Palladium, the interior scenes.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. The Hollywood Palladium has survived all these years.
True.
Yep. But yeah, that was probably my favorite number. But the music in this movie is great. I like all of it.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, I'd probably go back and like watch rewatch a lot of the musical numbers just because I think those are, what are really fun. And yeah, I'm also not a huge Aretha Franklin person, but the song that she sings in this it's just fun.
Yeah. And you'd probably want to watch the scene where they crash into the Oldsmobile dealership. Huh. The Oldsmobiles are in early this year.
Yeah.
Just so nonchalant,
Yeah.
Andy, what was your favorite musical number in the movie?
Yeah, I got this. I have to give it to the Shake Your Tail Feather one at the music store.
Oh yeah,
that's just like that was just really fun. But of course, I really like the rendition of Think that Aretha Franklin sings. I mean, I know that there is another version of that, but for me, that's the definitive version of that song.
Yeah, she did a special version for the movie because it's actually different from the one that was like on her album.
Right. No, exactly. But I mean, like people like specifically born like either just prior to or even after that movie, like that rendition of Think is probably their definitive version of this. I mean, same,
Yeah.
kind of the similar as I perceive it. But yeah, the Shake Your Tail Feather one was great. It's just like a lot of fun. It's just good, high spirits, good music.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we give our ratings? And I unless you have any other notes or thoughts about the movie, but I think this is a good time to give our quick rating for the film, and we'll call it a night.
All right.
Who's going to start?
Well, yeah. Who wants to start? Dad, why don't you go first?
Yeah.
Scales 1 to 5.
That's correct.
Yeah, 1 to 5.
Three.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just kind of like for the stuff that you mentioned, like as far as it.
It was good. I mean, it's better than average. I liked it. It's not something I'm going to make you watch 100 times like American Graffiti or Easy Rider. But it is an important movie. And a lot of, I mean, like we said, John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, you got to see them. But at the end of the day, it's a musical, and it's good. Three's good.
Yeah, I'm probably only up a little bit more than you. I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Just kind of like I don't really see this as being something that like I probably wouldn't show this to to my wife just because she well, it's too old for her. Those are her
She's
words.
too young for it.
Those are her words.
Uh,
But like as far as like people, nowadays, I just it doesn't necessarily hold up per se. Um, but what I do like about it is like the musical numbers are really fun. Yeah, it's not a movie that I'm gonna watch, 100 times. Like I've seen American Graffiti or some of the other films that we've talked about with you, but and it's definitely no Birdemic. It's
yeah,
Thank
jeez.
God.
Thank God. Yeah, exactly. Thank God it's not like a pandemic.
but no,
I really worry about your boy there, Mr. Bruce. I
The
really worry about
Catholic
your
Church
boy.
actually referenced Birdemic in their review of
no,
Brothers.
then I know it's good. See,
Pope John Francis said, "Thank God it's not Birdemic."
Yeah.
but no, this is a movie that I feel like I can always come back to just for if I'm looking for just a good time. It's not necessarily a serious film. But it's not a movie that I'll always revisit. But I'm glad it's there. I'm glad
Yeah.
I got to watch it. Like I said, I've probably seen it about 10 times. It's probably gonna be another couple years before I watch it again, but I'm glad it's available. I'm glad it's there for me to watch.
Wait, Rob, remind me. What was your rating?
I 3.5.
3.5. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna. Right. Bruce gave it 3. I'm gonna give this a 4 because I absolutely love this movie. And I'm giving it. I'm also giving it a 4 because I'm also a singer. So I particularly enjoy the music in this movie. So every once in a while I will find myself singing Think, or just or or Shake Your Tail Feather, or just kind of humming the bars for Minnie the Moocher.
I've had that. I've had Minnie the Moocher and Shake Your Tail Feather stuck in my head all week.
Right. Yeah, but just because I very much enjoyed I remember I think it was either one of my cousins or my dad that first introduced this movie to me, not with any sort of intention, but it was more like it was just on, and they happened to be like my dad either like fell asleep watching TV and like it happened to come on, or my older cousins, they were supposed to watch me, but they ended up just not watching me and just putting this on, and I every once in a while I like kind of like, and when I bugged them for like a drink of water, I would see it. Um, I do remember it. I do remember watching this movie at a young age. So it's kind of part of my childhood. And as I got older, and it just it just became more a part of me. So for that, yeah. But I can't, I'm not. But I understand like kind of like the goofiness of it, which might turn some people off. And I understand that, and there's some parts where there it does show its age, so that prevents me from giving it like anything higher than a 4.
But I think too it's worthy of a watch just because once again going back to that cinematic archaeology that you and I always talk about, Andy, is
Mm.
that this is a movie that has been referenced or parodied in so many different things that it's this is go back and watch. This is the source material. You can probably find a lot of those comedic elements that you find in like The Simpsons, or
Mm.
a lot of some of these other like zany films that owe the Blues Brothers for their inspiration.
Mm. Absolutely.
Well, the episode. Dad, is there any way that if people wanted to contact you, that they could contact you?
Smoke signals, carrier pigeon, us old people use all that stuff.
Morse code, the telegraph.
Yeah. Or Instagram, Bruce, the number 4, Adams. And there I am.
Well, yeah, and you're always posting up these great pictures of you know, showing how awesome it is to use Adam's car care products. So if you guys are, we talk about a lot of car movies with my dad. So if you're interested in cars and you have you're looking to make yours nice and clean, and you're looking for some good car care products, that's the man
Give
to
me
talk
a shout out. I'm also on Hotmail at Bruce number 4 Adams at hotmail.com. Tell me you saw it at
the
this place,
the Circle
the,
of Jerks podcast,
the Circle of Jerks podcast, and you get the special friends and family discount.
which is double the price, right?
That's only for you, Robert. That's why you have Andrew buy your stuff, because although after his opening statement
I was
this
like, why are
morning,
you buying so much wax? Like, no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it takes you forever to put it on.
But yeah, so that so if you're looking for some good car care products, you want to see like what the Adams line can do, check out my dad's Instagram. He's always posting stuff up about it. And if you're wanting to buy some products from him, you can hit him up on both of those spaces. Yeah, as far as for us, if you want to reach us, we have various social media accounts. Twitter at podcastcoj, Instagram is Circle of Jerks Podcast, Letterboxd, where we post up some of our movie reviews. A couple of paragraphs based off of some of the movies that we talk about. That's also at podcastcoj. We also have various times like where you can reach us. We have a couple different shows. There's this one on Tuesdays. We do our live stream called Nocturnal Transmissions. That's every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific. If you're wanting to watch yours truly play old Nintendo and Super Nintendo games, we have a show called Up by Up Down, and that is going to be it for the show today. I had a lot of fun. Andy, you looked like you were mildly interested. And Dad, thank you for.
To be honest, you were losing me there for a little bit. I spit the inside of my cheek. I just had to bite the inside of my cheek to get me back there.
I know you wanted to review Manos: The Hand of Fate, but we just couldn't do it today. I'm sorry. And whatever other horrible movie.
Keep talking that mess, man. Just keep talking that mess. See what happens.
And Dad, thank you for coming on and spending a couple of hours with us talking about the Blues Brothers.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Of course, anytime, Bruce. Anytime.
With you two guys who I don't remember.
Yeah.
Hello? This thing on?
Yeah. What?
There's people on my computer. Arthur?
Oh.
Anyway,
you're too much, Bruce. You're too much.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just enough, but right now you're being too much.
Yeah. We'll have you on again. We'll do another car or motorcycle inspired movie.
Yeah. There's a couple of.
I have a list.
Oh. Okay. Funny, I don't hear it when you speak.
No, list with a T, not a lisp. Jesus.
Oh my God! Is that our first dad joke?
It's past my bedtime by about half an hour. God damn it, I missed the blue plate special too at the diner.
Yeah.
Kids are keeping me up. Yeah, we can talk it over, see what's up. And if I don't see you guys, happy holidays. Well, I'll probably see you, Robert.
Yeah.
You coming by tomorrow to get the tree?
Yeah.
You want to sign off the
Yeah. We'll
podcast
talk
is
about
already
that.
over, right, Andrew?
Well, yeah, we'll edit that part out. I was gonna say thank you everyone for watching. I hope if we have this out before Christmas, have a great Christmas and a New Year's. If not, I hope everyone had a great Christmas and a good New Year's. So, and that's gonna be it for us tonight.
All right, deuces.
Okay.